Good morning, second graders. It is time for math, and we are starting a new chapter today, chapter 5, and it is on clocks. And we've been telling time all year. You guys have been doing such a good job. I think that this is going to be a really easy chapter for you. I hope that you were able to pick up your bags from my house yesterday, and you should have your math book if you got your bag. If you did not get your bag yet, just follow along with us on this video. And yesterday we made clocks during math time, and you can use those clocks to help you while you're telling time on these clocks. Okay, our vocabulary for this chapter is up here in the little yellow box. And our vocabulary words are clock, analog clock, we're going to find out what that means if you don't already know, minute hand, and hour hand. All right, so an analog clock is this kind of clock that you see on this page right here. And it's the kind that has the numbers on it and has the minute hand and the hour hand that moves around. Let's look at number 1. Number 1 says, clocks are tools that we use to measure time. Describe some clocks that you have seen. I hope that you all have an analog clock in your house. And I would love it if you could have an analog clock right next to a digital clock. And a digital clock looks like this. It has the little box on it with the numbers in it. Okay, that's a digital clock. So those are two different kinds of clocks we have. We have analog clocks, we have digital clocks. Maybe you have a grandfather clock in your house, one of those big tall clocks that stands on the floor. It usually has a clock face that is an analog clock. So you can write some of the different clocks that you've seen on those lines. Number 2, 3, and 4, it says place the missing numbers on the analog clocks. So what they want you to do is just like when we made the clock yesterday, they want you to write in the missing numbers. We know that 12 is right up at the top, right, of our clock. And then we go to 1, and then 2. Now my writing is going to be a little bit messy because I'm writing with this pen. And 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Will you go ahead and complete the other two clocks, number 3 and 4? And you can tell that each time they give you fewer numbers, but I'll bet you can figure out. After 12, we always start with the number 1, and then we just count in order. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, back up to 12. On number 4, it just gives us the 12. If you go straight down to the bottom, you're going to know that that is the 6. And please make sure that you're just writing your numbers where those longer lines are, because those little tiny lines, those are counting the minutes. Okay, and go ahead and finish filling in those 3 clocks. All right, you can pause my video if you need to give yourself a little bit more time if I'm going too fast. When you have finished filling in these 3 clocks, we're going to look down here at number 5, 6, and 7. An analog clock has a long hand that is the minute hand. And remember, that long hand tells us how many minutes, right, have passed by. And a short hand that is the hour hand. Ring the hour hand on the clocks, and ring means draw a circle around it. So on number 5, 6, and 7, I want you to find the hour hand. That's going to be the short hand. and just draw a circle around it like that. Will you go ahead and do 6 and 7? You can pause my video while you finish that up. Okay, let's check those. Did you circle this one that was between the 4 and the 5? Good, and this one. That's just past the 9. Okay, the next one says ring the minute hand on the clocks, and we know that the minute hand is the long hand. Now the long hand is going to actually be touching the number that it's pointing to. So go ahead and draw a circle around the minute hand on 8, 9, and 10. And let's check those. Again, if I'm moving too fast, you can pause the video while you catch up. All right, I think we're ready to go on to the back of that page. Our vocabulary for this page is AM and PM. And we've talked a little bit about this. That AM and PM stands for whether the time is in the morning or in the evening. But it can get kind of tricky because the time for AM, as you can see right here, we use AM for the hours after 12 o'clock midnight and before 12 o'clock noon. And the reason that gets a little tricky is because midnight is the middle of the night. It's dark outside. And so sometimes we want to say that it's PM, it's nighttime, but really anything after midnight is called AM. So 9 a.m. means 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, why do you think it would be important to know that? What if your friend called and said, hey, can you come over and play at 9 a.m.? And you didn't know that that was morning and you showed up at 9 o'clock at night and they were already in their pajamas in bed. That wouldn't work very good, would it? So it's important that we know the difference between that. We use PM for the hours after 12 o'clock noon and before 12 o'clock midnight. Okay, so 12 o'clock noon, that's about the time we eat lunch. Anything after that until midnight is going to be PM. 9 o'clock PM is 9 o'clock in the evening. Okay, so we're going to complete this chart on number 11. It says, for each time listed, write whether it is dark or light outside. Okay, so that's what's going to go in the first column. Whether it is morning or afternoon or evening, that's going to go in the second column, and an activity that you might be doing at that time. All right, so they've done 4 o'clock a.m. for us. Now, 4 o'clock a.m., that would be after midnight, but before noon. So that would mean 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Now, if you've ever been up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know it is still dark outside. But even though it's still dark outside, it is morning. And what are most of us doing at 4 o'clock in the morning? Hopefully we're still sleeping. Okay, here's a tricky one. 12:30 p.m. All right, so let's go up here to our chart. It says p.m. means the hours after 12 o'clock noon and before 12 o'clock midnight. So 12:30 p.m., that would be right after lunchtime, right after noon, right? So what's it going to look like outside? Is it going to be light or dark? Yes, it is going to be light. Oh, that's an IGH word. Trigraph IGH right there. Light. All right, is it going to be in the morning, the afternoon, or the evening? Remember that it's after lunch, right? So that would be afternoon. I'm trying to write with a mouse, so my writing kind of looks pretty bad right now. It kind of looks like a kindergartner. Sorry about that. Okay, afternoon. All right, and what might we be doing at 12:30 in the afternoon? Well, if we were at school, we would be doing Saxon. Should we write Saxon, even though we're not in school right now? Because maybe that's when you do Saxon at home. It doesn't really matter when you do it at home, but if we were at school, we would be doing Saxon at 12:30 in the afternoon. Okay, let's go to 9 o'clock p.m. Here we go. PM means after 12 noon and before midnight. So what's it going to look like outside? Yeah, it's going to be nighttime, so it's going to be dark. And what time of the day is it going to be? Morning, afternoon, evening. Evening, which is another word for nighttime. Sorry about my messy writing. I hope you're writing better than me. All right, and what's something you might be doing at 9 o'clock at night? Well, hopefully you're getting ready for bed, or maybe you're already in bed. You don't have to get up as early now, so maybe your mom and dad are letting you stay up a little bit later, but 9 o'clock is still pretty much bedtime for 7 and 8-year-olds. Okay, let's move on to number 12, 13, and 14. It says, for each activity, ring, and that means draw a circle, around the most appropriate time. Brush your teeth in the morning. That's our clue word, morning. We know that morning is AM, right? Because it's after midnight and before noon. So if we're brushing our teeth in the morning, can't be PM, can't be PM. It would have to be 7:30 AM. All right, eat dinner at night. 5 o'clock AM, 12 o'clock noon, or 6 o'clock PM. Would you draw a circle around the correct answer? Yes, 6 o'clock PM would be the correct answer for that. Okay, watch an afternoon movie. There's our clue right there, afternoon. Afternoon means it's going to be after noon, and that means it's going to be PM. So we know it can't be this one. Would you watch an afternoon movie at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock PM? 6 o'clock PM is kind of nighttime, right? So I would say 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I agree. Okay, we are going to go on and do the next 2 pages. I'm going to do some of it with you, and then I want you to finish it at home, just like if it were homework. So please go to the next page, and our vocabulary word is digital clock. This is what a digital clock looks like. Now, do you think it's easier to tell time on a digital